Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am sorry that this is just a tad bit late, but I did say it in my short, which got around 1,000 views. So thank you guys for giving a lot of support for that short. Anyway, so this is the Chapter 6 Season 2 review. The ranking is coming tomorrow if you're interested in that. But yeah, so let's get right into it. Obviously, as we always start with, we're going to start with gameplay. I'm gonna put a little bit of background in there for a second. But honestly, like, the gameplay was pretty mid in my opinion, but I feel like towards the beginning of the season, like, it was really good. It kind of got a little bit staler though, I think, as it went on. But overall, I think it was pretty solid. Yeah, we'll have the battle pass playing in the background. Yeah, so I think beginning of the season was like an 8, middle season was like a 7, late was like a 6. So overall, I think a 7.1 is a fair spot for the gameplay. Now we're gonna get into the battle pass. So this is Cassidy Quinn right here, the tier 1 skin. I think this is a pretty solid tier 1 skin. I'm gonna give it a 7.3 out of 10. I think it was pretty solid, honestly. And then for the next one, let's see here for a second. So this was the next one right there. I thought this skin was pretty good. Yeah, let's see here. The Slurp Shooter Cassidy Quinn. I thought this one was maybe a little bit better, 7.4, I think. And then the next one was, I believe, let's see here. So Ch6s, I think. Yeah, Ch6s. Yeah, Ch6s was, I think, a little bit better. I think 7.6 is a fair rating for her. I think Lawless was the, I don't know. I feel like this year for Chapter 6, there wasn't a bad battle pass, except I think for Star Wars. I think that was definitely the weakest battle pass of the chapter. Like, it wasn't even close in my opinion. All right, let's see here. There's her second version right there. I think that version was a little bit worse. Oh shoot, I just dropped my phone. That's okay though. I think that version was a little bit worse in my opinion. I'm gonna give that version like a 7.5. So right now we're standing at around 7.3 overall for the battle pass. And Fletcher Kane was a pretty good skin, honestly. I think probably the best skin so far, in my opinion. I think we have to give that a 7.8. His second style, in my opinion, was just a little bit stronger. The second style is 7.9. Yeah, there's the second style. I think the coloring on it is a little bit more detailed. I think that's why I like it a little bit more. He also looks a little bit more like a wolf. You know, it's just like the coloration of wolves. So, all right, this next skin, I think, in my opinion, was the weakest so far. I'm gonna give this one like a 6.6. I think the second style was maybe a little bit better. Let's kind of forgot. Yeah, so this style, I think it's just a base 7. So currently we're standing at a 7.4 for the battle pass. I think we're around halfway through it. Yeah, so let's see the second half. Oh yeah, the Dill Pickle. This skin was solid. I think Fletcher Kane, I would still take Fletcher Kane over Big Dill. I think this version is a 7, just like on the dot, like a 7. I think 7.2. I think Big Dill was about equal to the tier 1 skin in my opinion. Maybe a little bit better. And then Chamoy, I like this version a little bit more just because of the red. I'm not a big fan of green, so 7.5. Battle Pass is still standing at overall 7.4. This skin, I think, in my opinion, was the weakest in the Battle Pass. Keisha Cross, I have to give this a 6 out of 10. And then her second style, I like a little bit more, 6.2. This really brought down the Battle Pass. But then this skin right here, Bihan, I think is a 6.5. But his second version, in my opinion, is the best skin of the Battle Pass. I keep on dropping my phone. Yeah, Bihan, I thought this was a pretty good skin, honestly. Well, no, not Bihan, but his second style, though, the tier 100 skin, in my opinion, was the best skin of the Battle Pass, and he's going to receive an 8.1, making the overall rating of the Battle Pass a 7.2, making the overall season right now standing at a 7.15. All right, so we are done with talking about Battle Pass. Let's move on to the next, which is going to... I actually forgot about the secret skin, guys. My bad. We're going to go ahead and quickly... I don't really care so much for the extras. I care a lot more for the secret skin. Yeah, Outlaw Midas. was a pretty solid skin. I would give this version a 7 and his other version a 7.4, which means the Battle Pass would actually still average out to a 7.2. So, yeah, the Battle Pass still a 7.2 in my opinion. We're just going to restart this video, so if you guys want to see the cosmetics, you can. Now, we're going to talk about now the content. In my opinion, I think this was the weakest part of the season. The content and updates were all pretty mid. I feel like there weren't many updates for this season. Actually, that's a lie. All the exotics were really cool. So actually, I completely forgot about the exotics. That completely changes my mind about this season. Yeah, honestly, the content updates are gonna get us. We're gonna give it a 7.5. Actually, the strongest part of the season. Now, for the other stuff, I think this is where the season gets a little bit weaker. There was a little bit. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with the theming. It was executed. The map, I feel like, comes with the other stuff. The map was, new spots were pretty good. If I had to rank them, I think Outlaw Oasis was probably the worst. It's not a bad POI, it's just probably the worst. Shiny Shafts and Lone Wolf Wear, I think in my opinion, were pretty much equal. And then the Crime City, I think in my opinion, was the best by a solid bit. Yeah, so the loophole for the season was also pretty solid. Yeah, the AR meta was all over the place. SMG meta was very interesting. Shotgun meta was awful, obviously, because the Sentinel Pump just dominated every other shotgun that was there. But other than that, I think other stuff, it's going to receive a 6.5, giving this season an overall. All right, hold on. I'm going to do this on the calculator real quick, guys. I'm going to get back to you soon. All right, guys. So overall, the season is going to receive a 7.1 out of 10 overall. Yeah, I know for a fact Super and Shock and Awesome were both higher. Kind of curious now. I'm going to check my ratings and update you guys on the other 3 seasons I have ranked so far. So let's see on that. I'm going to get back to you guys soon. Alright guys, so for Shock and Awesome, I gave an overall rating of 7.7. And for Super, I gave Super a rating of just a base 8. And then for Galactic Battle, I gave the overall season of Galactic Battle a 6.6 out of 10. So far, this ranks 3rd place. So at the end of this series, I'm gonna rank every season based on how I rated it before. So right now the season stands at number 3 out of 4. It will probably get a little bit higher because we've talked about some pretty stacked seasons. But yeah, Chapter 6 Season 1 coming up, I think, October 24th, I believe, for the review. And then the other one is October 26th. I think that's not confirmed, but I think. All right, enjoy. See you guys in the next one. Peace.